Hello, I'm James Preston and welcome to another edition of Executive Corner Expert Talks exclusive to 𝐾𝐤𝐴 TV. In this episode, we'll be shining a light on PI Exchange, which is a deep tech company specialised in the development of artificial intelligence machine learning platforms and applications. Quan Pham is the founder of PI Exchange. He's an engineer turned entrepreneur looking to utilise big data technologies to tackle real life problems and hopefully not create the equivalent of Skynet and Judgment Day in the process. Quan, great to have you on 𝐾𝐤𝐴 TV.
Hi James, thank you very much for having me with 𝐾𝐤𝐴 TV today.
Well, Quan, please put me at ease. You're working on some pretty advanced technology with a focus on AI. Where are you applying this technology, and should we not be worried about facing a Westworld type situation? This is all going right, okay?
Of course not, right? We're probably a little bit further away from the Skynet situation, I would say. With PI Exchange, what we are developing is a platform that combines artificial intelligence and automation together. So it is a tool for everyone to create simple, easy to use, affordable machine learning application with a delightful user experience. So we want to really bring the power of AI to everyone, including the people or businesses with less dedicated resources and human expertise for AI ML. Like, think about small and medium businesses without like a warehouse of data scientists. And we offer both what we call the AI and analytic engine and the advanced AI services together.
Well, tell me a little bit about that AI and analytics engine that you've developed. What exactly does that entail?
So, like I mentioned earlier, it is a tool, right? So, today, if you want to develop a predictive function to say, predictive like a value of a machine in the factory, or you would like to understand, something about your data from, say, trading or kind of like stock market, for example, you need to have some form of forecasting or predictive kind of insights like that. And we are the platform to facilitate such a development of those functions.
Right. Look, it's very in-depth stuff that you're working on there, which has many, I would imagine, quite easy applications for, as you were talking about before, small and medium-sized businesses. So very accessible. Why are your advanced AI services and the AI and analytics engine a perfect pairing for businesses, though?
Yeah, because this is a great question actually. Through the course of offering the AI and analytic engine to a lot of business, we recognize that even though the engine is a perfect start for people to go from 0 to 1, however, not a lot of people actually have the expertise or the resources actually to take the first step. So our advanced AI services is the help, so that we can kind of hand holding people and actually taking them, to the kind of kickstart the whole thing. And depending on the need of the clients, the advanced AI services can be anything from just like an onboarding or customization a little bit to on the way to scaling the solution for the customer.
Now, you've also mentioned that you're making it very accessible for these smaller businesses, small, medium enterprises as well. What's the entry point in terms of costing for some of the services you provide?
So, we make it very much accessible and affordable for everyone. So the entry point is actually only $129 a month. And
Wow.
you can scale it up on the way to, as much as you want, depending on your needs.
So let's take a hypothetical situation. Let's say there's a local fruit shop, for example, and it's got a whole bunch of different products in there. Maybe they want to find out how many oranges they've got compared to how many bananas, how long they can be storing them in a freezer or something. Could you develop some sort of process for that company that would help streamline all of their issues?
Yes, in theory we do. So I'm actually have to be cautious because we are not like a magical silver bullet that can solve every single situation. It depending on a lot of factors like the data that they have and on the rest of it. But in theory, yes, that's what we aim for. We try to make it so easy and accessible for the the people with less resources, so that they can actually take in the data, put it into our platform, and then we get them to the end result.
Yeah, brilliant. Sounds very much specifically catered. Now, one thing that I've been quite interested in is the concept of a GPU. Now, for our viewers who aren't familiar with that idea, first and foremost, what is a GPU and why are they overtaking CPUs when it comes to machine learning?
Right. So GPU it stands for graphical processing unit, right? And originally designed to actually help with like graphical application, like thinking about gaming, for example. However, over the last, say, 1 or 2 decades, there's other application. What you can see is like, in cryptocurrencies where people use GPU for like, Bitcoin mining, for example. Another thing is obviously in the space of AI and machine learning. And, over the last 1 or 2 decades, we see a lot of advancement in this area where people use GPU and utilize it. I'm not going to go too deep into the technical detail, but utilize its computational power to allow, like speed up the model training. And they particularly are suitable for, a lot of application, especially in like, deep learning, for example. So with PI Exchange, what we have today is that we actually have GPU not only for model training but also for application like data wrangling as well, data preparation, some people call it, and it's aligned with like recent trend and movement. For example, the data centric AI, for example, and what we see is that GPU help to accelerate the performance, the productivities of the whole machine learning pipeline by many times. Now, one note that I would like to say, I don't say that GPU is replacing the typical or traditional training regime like CPU, but
Yep.
it is to some people, and in some cases, a much better alternative.
Right. Would you say in general that it probably offers more possibilities for the things that you're doing specifically with PI Exchange?
Well, I say it's provide a better productivities. It provide more efficiencies in a number of cases. Yes.
Okay. Well, Quan, tell us a little bit about your recent advances into AutoML.
Right. AutoML is a term that like automated machine learning, right? AutoML, and by kind of like convention, when people talking about AutoML, people generally talking about like model selection and training. With PI Exchange, we push the concept of AutoML to the extreme, where we're talking about the coverage of everything from the beginning of data wrangling all the way to model selection, training, and deployment. So the automation concept is really pushed to the extreme. And our advancement in this space is that we provide AI guided recommendation and automation to help the user to go through the pipeline of machine learning from data wrangling or preparation to the really end where they have the model deployed. And this is our kind of like secret sauce and the proprietary intellectual property that developed by in-house by PI Exchange to help life
Ah,
of the people easier.
yeah, look, it's incredible the kind of things that you're doing there and developing them yourself as well. It's not utilizing already given concepts, I suppose. It's building from them from the ground up, which really I think is setting PI Exchange apart from a lot of other companies that are utilizing software which is developed overseas and then they might tailor a little bit for their own markets, for example. Part of that is obviously PI Exchange has an engine which automatically can help to predict the models that are best suited for a particular
Yes,
business's
correct.
data and then the potential cost that the business might have to commit. Can you break down how that works exactly?
Yes. So that is the kind of like the technology behind our AI guided recommendation and automation function. And what we do is actually think about it as we train our model. So our platform is like an artificial intelligent agent, and that agent has been trained with a lot of data set in the past, right? So it recognizes a wide range of use cases. So every time you put in the data, it's kind of like acting as a human scientist, and it recognizes that, hey, I see this data set, and it's similar with something that I already encountered in the past. So using historical kind of like learning experience, it will then be able to recommend you, hey, this is the best approach for your data set. And we can actually provide recommendations based on a number of factors. like for example the potential accuracies, or what we call predictive performance. The second thing is maybe the cost, like training cost or the prediction cost of the model. And with that, right, the user can actually make an informed decision about, hey, I probably, maybe sometimes I don't care too much about the predictive performance, but I care about, say, the training cost, because it takes me like a lot of time and effort to actually finish a training, for example. And they can choose the appropriate criteria based on the appropriate criteria for them.
Yeah, I think it comes back once again to something we've mentioned several times during this chat, which is the ability to scale it specifically to each business and make sure that it works for what they want to accomplish. Now, 𝐲𝐚, just before I let you go, there's been a lot of discussion in media circles, also in scientific circles, about AI being on the front lines in the fight against coronavirus, and that it has the potential to fill in the blanks, essentially, that are still left by science within what we're doing. So, first of all, what do you think those blanks are? Is that to do with modelling? And in general, how do you think AI has already assisted in the fight against COVID to date? And how can we see it working towards that fight in the future?
Yeah, that is a very this is a very broad question, James. I think the key thing here is that AI or machine learning come in with a lot of like hopes, right? People have very big expectation for this area, and we already see that the application of AI/ML in big science project, like I'm referring to like DeepMind project in understanding protein structure, which may help to produce like better vaccines in the future. Or you will see that other things like OpenAI GitHub Copilot project, for example. What I'm trying to say is that the application of AI/ML is everywhere, and it can fill in a lot of blanks, as you mentioned, from all the way from like virology research to kind of like in robotics or military application, right? But the last thing that I want to say is that for business, right, for people, for a lot of business out there that want to embrace AI into everyday activity and try to build competitive edge from AI/ML. The key thing is not to get caught in the hype, right? And focus on what is practical and what is like feasible to achieve, and kind of like go from there. And when we kind of like building the critical mass, we can see that the benefit of AI/ML would be everywhere and helping the society as a whole.
Well, 𝐲𝐚, really interesting to chat today. It's incredible what PI Exchange is up to. So I just want to thank you for joining us today on 𝐾𝐤𝐴𝐚 TV.
Thank you very much for having me here.
𝐲𝐚, lovely to have you. That is 𝐲𝐚 Pham, the founder of PI Exchange. And if you missed any part of that conversation, you can check out the entire chat on our YouTube channel, 𝐾𝐤𝐴𝐚 Media, along with our complete catalogue of expert talks. Until next time, I'm James Preston, reminding you to stay apprised and invest wise with 𝐾𝐤𝐴𝐚.